I feel like I was just starting to understand the punk scene a little bit based on the videos I've done lately and your comments, and now I'm seeing that there's folk punk. What is folk punk? What's up, guys? Welcome back to Low End University. Today I'm going to be hearing Violent Femmes for the very first time. I have never heard of this band, but I've had some requests for Add It Up, which is from their self-titled debut album released in 1983. And another tidbit about the band is that most of the songs on this record and its follow-up were written when songwriter Gordon Gano was an 18-year-old high school student in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Now, I normally get to the reaction pretty quickly in these videos, but I'm going to tell a little story and kind of what led to this request. So if you just want to skip straight to the reaction, go to this timestamp here. But my older brother, Jeff, is the one who initially requested this track about 6 months ago. I'd never heard of the band. I had zero requests for them here on YouTube. And I figured it was just another band he wanted me to hear. And I said, I'll get to it. Let me just get through some of the more requested songs. So my older brother, Jeff, grew up in the 70s. He's a bit older than me, but he's largely responsible for a lot of my music taste. And about 6 months ago when we were having this conversation, I was kind of listening to a lot of Metallica, Alice in Chains. I had done a bunch of those bands here on the channel. And Until It Sleeps came on my Spotify, and I remember reading about the urban myth and legend or whatever that people were like taking off work and setting their alarms to see that MTV video debut when they dropped that song. Like people were like, dude, you got to come down from upstairs right now. Metallica's about to drop their next music video after the Black Album. It's been 5 years. You know, you read that kind of like, do you remember where you were when so-and-so band released their video? And I was kind of telling him that I don't think that exists anymore. Like, will that ever come back? That's just a whole kind of music culture thing that it's kind of lost on today's society. And the premise of our conversation was that, is it easier to break through as a band nowadays? Or was it easier back then when you had a funnel like MTV and an outlet that was just hand to mouth to everyone in the world immediately when it aired? And I remember a bit of that growing up when like Linkin Park dropped In the End and Alien Ant Farm with Smooth Criminal. I kind of remember that, you know, early 2000s. But he said, I think it's easier nowadays because you had bands like Violent Femmes who were a little too much for MTV or radio, but they were so big and grew like wildfire in the underground. And he said, I always loved being that guy to show people this band because they had never heard of them. But I would drive 3 or 4 hours away. We live in Louisiana. He said, I would drive down to Lafayette and show somebody Violent Femmes. And like 6 months later, everybody was talking about that band there just because I gave someone a CD. And they had this kind of wildfire underground grassroots thing going on, but they were just a bit too much to cut through into the mainstream. So again, I said, yeah, it sounds really interesting. I'll do it for the channel, but I've had no requests. Fast forward a couple months. Now I'm starting to see some requests for Violent Femmes trickle in. And for the longest time, I thought he was saying Vile Fins. It's the Violent Femmes. So thanks for hearing my long story. Let's get to the reaction. But he made sure to tell me to not look at any pictures of the band. Don't read about them other than what you have to for your video. And I think you'll be surprised. So that's my story. Let's get to it. Add It Up by Violent Femmes.
Day after day, I will walk and I will play, but the day after today,
Interesting.
I will stop and I will start.
Oh, is that bass chords?
Why can't I get just one kiss? Why can't I get just one
Oh,
kiss?
this is fun.
There'd be some things that I wouldn't miss if I looked at your pants and I need a kiss. Why can't I get just one screw? Why can't I get just one screw? Believe me, I know what to do, but something won't let me.
Why can't I get just one screw? Okay, wow. That was a really interesting intro. Very unique. I don't know the singer. I don't know anything about the band members. I was told not to look it up. Very interesting vocal. That's a hell of a way to start a song. It got really fun. We're ramping up. Sounds like we're in the key of B. Let me go back a bit and kind of hear when that comes in. But okay, I'm intrigued.
And I start.
Okay, B. Ooh, that's a fat, teethy kind of P bass sound. But I like that bass chord. He sounds like he strummed just an open power chord on A. And I do have the bass player's name here, Brian Ritchie. Okay, good to know. But I love that kind of. Okay, let's keep going and let it play.
Just one kiss. Why can't I get just one kiss? There be some things I wouldn't miss. But I look at your pants and I need a kiss. Why can't I get just one screw? Why can't I get just one screw? Believe me, I know what to do, but something won't let me.
Vocalist does sound young. Woo. That triplet thing was cool. Whoa! Bleep, bleep.
I waited my whole life for just one day after day. I get it.
Instrumentally, this has that kind of like 60s, like frat rock. I don't know if that's the term, but I'm thinking of bands like the Gentrys or like the Trogs. I don't want to say Righteous Brothers, but it's got that kind of just the production, the happy feel, and that bass run was really cool. Sounds like some really nifty B minor arpeggios, and then he did this like dun 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 hemiola thing kind of as a bass fill leading into that. Okay, this is fun. And I'm just so intrigued by the way the song started. The lyrics, I can hear them really well. Viewer discretion is advised.
For just one day after day, I get angry, and I will say that the day is it.
That's such just a classic, like, I don't want to say progression, but just kind of the. It just takes me back to my childhood. I grew up on a lot of the older music, and I know these guys are a little later than that, but it's kind of got a nostalgic kind of musical delivery. Love those octaves going up there.
My mom, if you kept your eye on your son.
This is dynamic.
I know you've had problems, you're not the only one. When your sugar left, you're on the run. So my mom, take a look now, look what your boy has done. He's walking around like he's number one. So he went downtown and he got all my guns. Don't shoot.
Every note the bass player plays sounds pissed. Like, as upbeat as this is, and, you know, I guess this has elements of punk in it. I can kind of see where folk punk might fit in there. Still unsure what that means. But it's just like a lighter, happier, nimble take on it. And then you have these vocals with, like, just very literal, like, explicit stuff. And it's just that dichotomy of like the happier music, kind of upbeat, major, feel good. And then the vocals are just like such like a complete departure from that. That's one of my favorite things about hearing bands like this. And I'm loving that this spoken word part is kind of more of the punk vocal, but the way it started out, the vocal was actually pretty beautiful. Just like a good vocal timbre. I'm just intrigued. I'm trying to process what I'm hearing.
That thing at me. Don't shoot that thing at me. You know you got my sympathy, but don't shoot that thing at me. Don't shoot that thing at me. Don't shoot.
Like you could dance to this. You really could.
You got my sympathy, but don't shoot that thing at me.
Oh, picking up.
share a smoke.
I love
make
this.
a
Like
joke,
this.
grasp and reach
It's
for
so
a leg of
dynamic.
hope. Words to memorize, words hypnotize, words make my mouth exercise. Words all fail the magic prize. Nothing I can say when I'm in your thighs. Oh my mother.
I'm just loving how the bass is carrying it just as much as the vocal. Like I'm hearing the lyrics go by. I'm trying to hear back because the music gets really quiet. I really like that dynamic kind of A-B thing they're doing here. And I don't want to miss something going on in the bass because it's very busy. It's a really fat bass tone. It sounds kind of like older, more raw production. But it, again, as I said a second ago, every note the bass player plays just sounds kind of pissed. Like he's just really digging in. And it's almost like the music itself is so dynamic, but the bass part is just kind of like dimed the whole time. Even when these quieter sections happen, I can still hear it just like being played like kind of intensely. And anytime there's like a transition between parts of the song, there's some monstrous bass fills. And, you could take this kind of feel and progression and play it more like a samba jazz kind of feel. But he's taking like a pick and going. I just love that, like, it's like almost satirical in a way, how he's playing the prescribed feel of the song. There's a huge attitude thing going on there.
I would love to love you, lover. City's restless, it's ready to pounce. Go in your bedroom, ounce for ounce, and oh my mother. I would love to love
I'm pretty tickled
you,
by
lover.
this.
City's restless,
Thanks, Jeff.
it's ready to pounce. Go here in your bedroom, ounce for ounce, and I've given you decision to make, things to lose,
Just
things to take.
gurgly tone down
Just
there.
about ready to cut it up. Wait a minute, honey.
Playing those chords.
Add it up. Add it up. Add it up. Add it up. Add it up.
That's catchy.
So what you gotta add it up. Add it up. Day after day. I get angry, and I will say that the day.
You're kind of landing on those roots and then hanging on the third a bit, the fifth a bit. As it's still on a B, so you kind of get all these like little intervals that creep up. I love when a bass player does that. It's a classic, just kind of driving it to the next phrase.
Say my side when I take a bow and say goodnight.
There it is again. Bass player has a really heavy hand. Maybe that's kind of the phrase I'm looking for to describe it. It sounds like no matter the dynamic of the song any given time, the bass player just has that heavy hand. I kind of just like how it contrasts with, the bass player is playing more intensely than the drums or the guitar. Let me go back and kind of hear it. It sounds like the bass is picking up here in the outro. Classic bass player move.
Say my side when I take a bow and say goodnight.
Sounds like a slap, like a kind of a pick slap, I call it. That's a cool phrase he keeps bringing up. That's something else. Folk punk, huh? This was very surprising. Based on the name, Violent Femmes, and my brother telling me that they were just too much for the mainstream. They could only make it underground at the time because, you just didn't hear this on airwaves. I was expecting something like really explicit, really heavy. This was kind of the other direction. Now, the lyrics, I could see how that was kind of holding them back from maybe getting into that more accessible area just based on the explicit lyrics. That's still kind of a thing today, but the music, I'm just really intrigued by that. You know, it sounds like Louie Louie or something by the Kingsmen. It just had that. You know, I had a mixed CD growing up. It was called like 60s frat rock. Like it had Keep on Dancing by the Gentrys, Louie Louie. It had Wild Thing. It had Gimme Some Lovin', Spencer Davis Group. Like this fits right in with that musically. So this is like a very nostalgic sound for me, but just taken up a little notch, like just a little more pissed off. The heavy-handed bass playing, the vocal subject matter and the lyrics, but the drums and guitars just had this very dated kind of, I don't know. I like that mixture. And there's a lot of dichotomy going on in this song. And again, in some of the requests, I had Blister in the Sun as well. I almost did that one, but I gave this one to my bro. He said, you got to do Add It Up because the bass is really something else. And the way it starts will kind of catch you off guard. And it certainly did. So thank you, Jeff, for sending this my way. This is an intriguing chapter in the punk movement. If they even play into this, this kind of pulled the rug out from under me with folk punk. But thanks to a lot of you who have requested Violent Femmes lately. Again, I'd never seen that band name come up on the channel in my comments until lately. So maybe this was the right time to bring out Violent Femmes. But please like the video, subscribe, and let me know what I should do next. I am reading every comment I can that you guys post. I've seen requests for RKL, Descendants, Propaganda, Minutemen, Jawbreaker. I have a list. I'm working on it. So stay tuned. They're coming up. I wish I could do a video every day, but I can't. So thanks for being patient. I love you all. Cheers, and we will see you next time.